Hello, Nick, Cosmos Ohana. It is March 4th, 2025. This is daily mirror work. Again, this is just for me. Don't invite you to really watch this. If you do click on this, it's up to you. It's gonna get long, it's gonna get weird, it's gonna get all kinds of things. Take a look at the other videos that are more focused and directed, and yeah, this is my playground, this is my playroom, and it's my commitment to myself to do this every single day, to take a look at what's going on, to actually practice me in real time, seeing me, which is why I'm looking at myself and then sharing what's going on. Right now, I've just gotten this Insta 360 Flow Pro 2 gimbal, and I'm trying out their app and seeing how it tracks more smoothly than the default Docket app, and just experiencing that right now. I'll be taking a look at integrating the breakthrough experience today, because I just did that with Dr. John DeMartini. Really powerful, still recovering from it in a way, really intellectual, and a really big school of unlearning. So it's taking a look at all the paradigms and patterns that I've been taught growing up and saying, is this really what you want to look at? And not good or bad. It's not trying to say right or wrong. Not trying to have a fantasy or delusion. Rather just taking a look. And so every day, I'm going to go to a couple things first. One is passing the torch. Is it after this? No, it's before this. The page before, passing the torch, right? There we go. The 10 daily pillars of wisdom. Oh. To resume display. Interesting. So the display turns on and off. Okay, that's really interesting as well. So, just so I don't have to see myself all the time, I guess, and saves battery. But, so the 10 daily pillars of wisdom. Words of power and wisdom, to be stated inwardly or chanted outwardly 9 times daily, 3 times at sunrise, 3 times at noon, 3 times at sunset. Inspired action, loving service, silent presence, grateful prayer, divine guidance, sharing wisdom, caring sincerely, study truths, temperate rhythm, fair exchange. Inspired action, loving service, silent presence, grateful prayer, divine guidance, sharing wisdom, caring sincerely, study truths, temperate rhythm, fair exchange. Inspired action, loving service, silent presence, grateful prayer, divine guidance, sharing wisdom, caring sincerely, study truths, temperate rhythm, fair exchange. I'm saying these things, saying not just incantations, not just affirmations, but incantations to try to steady that in my brain and mind. It is about 3:44 a.m. right now, so it's early in the morning. I'm tired, I've been up since 2 something. And there's a heat in my body. That's when I wake up, now I realize, okay, I could try to go back to sleep, and it's fighting to go back to sleep, versus actually being here, actually being present with life. And it's funny, the screen keeps turning off after about a minute, and it says it's still recording. So I'm going to practice being with that and trying it out without making it right or wrong. What I'm trying to do is actually get the most from the magical weekend. So actually stepping into the doingness of it, the habit forming of it, versus just being like, oh, it was a great weekend. Let's go to the next thing. Let's start consuming. Let's start receiving. Let's start diving into. And taking a look at what's there already. Oh, okay. This is what I've learned. And then in all of this, just noticing my own resistance. There's an internal resistance to the change. So going from the place where I used to think, oh, there's a real positive or negative. Oh my God, some things are always good or always bad. And there's part of me that already knew this. And that's the piece I really appreciated working with Elena before. And she's like, I know that you can already see this. And I've seen it. I've seen it with some of the great teachers I've worked with, whether it's Yvonne or Sky or Sarah, or working and listening to Michael Singer. It's just the balance of things. And And it's another practical aspect, another facet of looking at this. And that's what I'm reminded of, because before I might have come to this going, this is the answer versus this is an answer. And I want to draw from the wisdom that I can see there. And I want to notice the voids that I see, because the voids reflect my values. And sometimes I may speak to some of the voids, but it's the same thing as speaking to my parents now. I'm like, everything is perfect the way it was. And how do I look at how I'd want things to go differently in the future? For example, the weekend, super powerful experience in the Martini method. Now the pages actually make much more sense. I have a feeling sense of going through it and dissolving one of the biggest resentments in my life. And I know there's more. Like, in the dissolving of it, there's still a piece there that I can see that I'm still learning. How do I use this better? It's like getting a new muscle. And then going through this weekend, it was tiring. And then going through this weekend, I noticed, because I can see the layers upon the layers. There's a reason why, for example, someone like Tony Robbins is so polished, it can feel now. He's so good at both teaching bite-sized things, layering on the teachings, and also noticing the changes in state, noticing the energy, and raising them back up. That's one of his gifts, is to be able to do all those things. One of what I see Dr. Demartini's gifts is he has such clarity in his teachings and such depth in it, having studied things for so long. And on the flip side, because he's so clear in himself, sometimes I wonder if he's as clear on where everyone else is. And so my own energy for sure felt like it diminished so much, and I wasn't taking in and experiencing the fullness of the experience that I could have had. And that's also on me, because there are times I was like, I'm excited to engage, and then there's times it's like, I'm feeling like stepping back and just noticing those pieces. Right? Part of it is not having a perfect weekend either. It's and or as distinct from, as I'm learning from my dear friend Joni. I imagine it can both be there and it can be improved. And if we really want to spread this to more people than what Dr. John can do himself, it's actually empowering people to start taking on different aspects of the training. Actually, by default, having them take on certain aspects and practice it. So they're practiced and ready to take it over at any point in time. And seeing and having him sit back more and more and having him add on to. And then I'm saying all this because I'm saying it for him, but I'm actually seeing it for me. How do I, sooner rather than later, start empowering individuals to take on parts of the breath, the ceremony, the retreats, the music creation, the playlist? Like, every single aspect is just noticing who I am, how I do it, and then taking a look at who really wants to learn this, and then not outsourcing it, rather resourcing it so that it really ripples out. And I can imagine how many people love the breakthrough experience, how many people have been to it dozens of times. And those who have, how many of them could take on at least one aspect of it? At least one basic aspect of it. And noticing it's not about making it an entire training program where, oh my God, people who are coming to it going like, wait, I came here to see Dr. John, why am I getting all these other random people? It keeps coming in and out, in and out. It's just like when we're going through the columns, it's like, it'd be great to have at least a set number of examples. And part of it is knowing when to come in, when to go out, when to be like, all right, this is going to happen. This is not going to happen. You know, it's both sometimes creating a lot more examples and then creating a lot fewer examples. So both of those things, I'm just noticing all this stuff and saying it out loud. And again, what I would say about this program, if you've gotten this far, if you've been listening, is A, if you're contemplating it, reach out to them for sure. That's the best way. They've got a team already in place to chat with you. B, I would make my default in general yes. Just make your default yes. Like, what if your default for something like this is yes, and your default to other things, like doing something you actually know is bad or not serving you in the short term, in the long term. It may feel good in the short term, like eating a bunch of junk food. For example, during the weekend, that's the part I can own. I was like, I did not resource myself enough to say, I've got enough juices to last the whole weekend, for example. If I had that, it would have been a different experience. But I didn't want to take all that time juicing beforehand when I really did know that I wanted to. I did some, but not enough. And then as well, asking for all the support for the food, because my beloved wanted me to have the very best experience, but I was concerned that maybe she would be overwhelmed and not trusting her to have her own voice, right? And that's the piece. It's trusting those around me to have their own voice and empower them, and that they may be actually hitting the edge of challenge and support in the way that they want to. I'm not here to rescue. And that's the piece for me, is to keep coming back to how am I in some ways trying to rescue people over and over again, including myself. I rescued myself prematurely. I knew that having a session with Peter during the weekend, really good. Probably having a second session would have been really good. And I didn't know if I was ready to see that level of truth. And just noticing that and being honest with it. So, type into my computer or cell phone the following, my purpose statement. Let's see here. I am going to create a new notebook. And I'm going to make it what? Magenta. And it's going to be called D Martini. Create a whole new notebook for this in Microsoft OneNote. Perfect. Breakthrough 2025. So 2025-03-04 purpose statement. So taking a look at the purpose statement, I want to take a look at the voice memos. I can take a look and see if I did a purpose statement. Purpose statement, there we go. Purpose statement, third draft, looking at the transcript. And I was saying in it, because I had a lot of gratitude at that point in time, and inspiration, and enthusiasm, love and gratitude, certainty and presentness and transcendentals. So, I, Nicholas Ho Gar Wong, hereby declare before myself, others, and God that my primary purpose in life is to be a soul doctor, first for myself, and then for all those around me by teaching, serving, guiding, facilitating, and I will do this through taking the highest priority actions every day, including taking the time for myself to explore, to do the magic mirror work, to grow, to do the D Martini method, to practice affirmations and incantations, to look at my life master, to look at my master life plan, to continue to hone in and be clear on what it is that I can most deliver into the world and practice delivering it. Right now, through my Ohana Sage and Ohana Breath companies, with my founding partners, Marika and Matt, and eventually that will continue to expand, and I'll set up automatic systems for the intake and for the support and for sustainable, fair exchange. Also for the auto magic savings of at least 10% and the investings and growing of assets and the delegation of how to manage not just the money, but also the areas of life that are my lower priority actions and are so important and high in the values, especially those of my beloved and those I care about. I want to keep growing my biological family as well as growing my Ohana or spiritual family, and I will also share what I learn as quickly as possible and as thoroughly as possible and as completely as possible, so that I contribute to the collective wisdom of the world. And I will have wealth in all 7 areas of life, already recognizing that life is perfect and I am so wealthy, and I continue to welcome and invite in more wealth and manage it as well as I can and give it purpose and flow and clear direction, so that I can create not just for the next year, 10 years, decades, but for the generations and the lifetimes to come. I do this not because I want to hold onto it all and say it's mine. Rather, I'm getting clearer and clearer on my message, and by creating more wealth, I can spread that message more clearly and really found the school of unlearning. All right. Whew, that was a lot to go through. So I'm going to read it out loud again because it's hard to type and read at the same time. And it's a practice, and this is the one that I'll have written down today. Everything else, that took a lot. I, Nicholas Hogar Wong, hereby declare before myself, others, and God that my primary purpose in life is to be a soul doctor, first for myself, and then for all those around me, by teaching, serving, guiding, facilitating. And I will do this through taking the highest priority actions every day, including taking the time for myself to explore, to do the magic mirror work, to grow, to do the DiMartini method, to practice affirmations and incantations, to look at my master life plan, to continue to hone in and be clear on what it is that I can most deliver into the world and practice delivering it. Right now, through my Ohana Sage and Ohana Breath companies, with my founding partners, Marika and Matt, and eventually that will continue to expand, and I'll set up automatic systems for the intake and for the support and for sustainable fair exchange. Also for the automatic savings of at least 10% and the investings and growing of assets and the delegation of how to manage not just the money, but also the areas of life that are my lower priority actions and are so important and high in the values, especially those of my beloved and those I care about. I want to keep growing my biological family, as well as growing my ohana and spiritual family. And I will also share what I learn as quickly as possible, and as thoroughly as possible, and as completely as possible, so that I contribute to the collective wisdom of the world. And I will have wealth in all 7 areas of life, already recognizing that life is perfect and I am so wealthy. And I continue to welcome and invite in more wealth and manage it as well as I can, and give it purpose and flow and clear direction, so that I can create not just for the next year, 10 years, decades, but for the generations and lifetimes to come. I do this not because I want to hold on to it all and say it's mine. Rather, I'm getting clearer and clearer on my message, and by creating more wealth, I can spread that message more clearly and really found the school of unlearning. All right. So taking a look at my love list and my affirmations, words of power. I'm printing out hard copies and placing them strategically in or on my bathroom mirror counter, my office desk, my dining or eating room, my car, my bedstand, my pocket, my phone. And being able to take a look at these and actually read them regularly, once or possibly 3 times daily. Like, it's starting to notice when I get clearer and clearer on my own purpose and be with the discomfort of seeing it, be with the discomfort of seeing all the places where I'm like, and then modifying it, that's going to serve me. Purpose. First written draft. So it's just noticing and writing drafts and drafts and drafts of things over and over again and not worrying about getting it right or wrong. So that was the purpose, the love list. So now I'm taking a look at the love list, and the love list is looking at every area of life: spiritual, mental, vocational, financial, familial, social, physical, and taking a look at what I want in each area. I am going to move over to grab my drink now, and I'll be back. So we'll see how well this tracks me, and then I'm going to also lift this up a little higher. Boop. And see how it tracks me. So I'm going over now. It's getting darker and darker. I think it's going to lose me now. But the microphone will still keep tracking me, and that's okay. That's okay. I'll be back in a second. It's not the end of the world. And then we'll see when it captures me again. There we go. It's pretty, it captured me in a pretty low light. And I'm back, but I need a little bit of my green juice. I only have a little bit here, so I may not stay that long, and that's not a bad thing. Remember to enjoy this juice immensely. All right, so be, do, have, and I went out of order because I wanted to go differently. Let's see on the vocational side first. I want to be a master teacher, guide, facilitator, medicine man, traveling the world, transforming lives, studying from the most inspiring people that I want to find at any one time and at a pace that I want to be at the edge of challenge and support. I want to be sought after. I want to be able to impact the one as powerfully as impacting the many, and being so excited when I have the impact or opportunity to impact many people at once, and also being so excited when I get the impact of one person at once, and being able to impact those I most desire to impact for the greatest effect that I want to leave in the world, a better place. It's fun, I'm using the word better, and it's okay. A more balanced place maybe, and to impact the leaders of leaders, leader of facilitators, leader of guides, and at the same time be able to keep seeking the leaders and guides that I want to seek. And I noticed I was getting in my head a little bit, trying to get it right, trying to get it better. So I went to the doing. On the vocational aspect, the vocational aspect, doing exactly this right now, doing the breakthrough experience, doing the trainings. I'm doing the creation of a business, the founding of a business, Ohana Sage, Ohana Breath, and I'm doing the milestones that are there that I'm planning. I'm doing the planning, I'm doing the hiring, I'm doing the founding, I'm doing the creation of this team that's coming together. And I'm doing the visions and willing the speed of my life. I'm also, what do I love to do for this? Creating easy, lucrative, fun ways to bring together a team that can also travel and explore and grow to be safe, to be courageous, to be in wonder, to be in play, to be in gratitude, to being an inquisitive explorer, a seeker of wonder, a seeker of experiences, an integrator of experiences, a balancer of experiences, a harmonizer of experiences, and finding the harmony between seeking adventure and growing the foundation and making the foundation really solid so this can exist with or without me. It doesn't depend on me. I enhance it. I do not make it dependent on me. And what would I like to have? I'd like to have financial freedom from this work, sustainable fair exchange, and knowing that I can create this no matter what. So I love that idea from Naval. If there's 1,000 multiverses, I want to say that 999 of them, I've figured out the plan for myself that I can keep recreating this. Because then it's not dependent on the external forces then. And let's see here. Yeah, so that no matter what my asset base is, I always have the opportunity to impact, create, grow. The ability to create easy, lucrative, fun work again, and to have a team that really wants to work with me. And we feel like Ohana, we feel like family. And some may come and some may go, but many will stay, and we get to build and deepen our relationships, deepen them through all the different ways that we work together, and that we challenge each other at the edge of challenge and support. And I like to have the recognition of people I admire, people I love, and people I care about, the recognition. And it's not focusing on the recognition of strangers. That's an old way of being. I'd like to have something that's sought after, something where I keep to my highest and best values, and where I get to have all the trainings and get to have the support and the challenges that actually drive it to the next level, not just the challenges that are there because they're supposed to be there any time with the old patterns. All right. So that was the spiritual or the vocational side. I went to family next, and then I'm going to come back to the spiritual. So on the family side, I'd like to be a father that I want to be, loving, fun, kind, firm, and be a husband, a man, a son, a brother. Be a leader in the familial house, be living in a home wherever I am. So wherever we are in the world, we have created it to be home in the most comfortable and beautiful ways. It's like having the most comfortable ass in the world. I love that example. It's like most comfortable ass, every chair feels comfortable. It's like, oh my God. Anyways, and being the kind of father that will inspire others to want to be fathers, not some fantasy, but the reality of this fatherhood, of learning from your children, of having so much fun, and recognizing that's really inconvenient. Learning from the brothers, learning from the children, learning from the parents, learning from the generations before and afterwards, below and above, so to speak. That's the biggest thing in being in family, is that every single person is a teacher. Whether they're young, whether they're old, whether they're wiser, whether they're stupider, whether they're making mistakes or getting it just right, and learning from that, and then learning to play and wonder. Because if I'm not playing them, why am I spending so much time together? Like realizing it can be really fun. Taking a little pause in this, it's like I'm realizing for myself, how do I create experiences that we desire to be together more? We desire because it's really enhancing life. And I can right now do it better and better with my immediate family, owning when I want to be selfishly like, this is what daddy wants, and then noticing when I can support them to have more and more fun. And then also noticing, how do I create this for my extended family as well? And it's a practice, because it's a change from the event that we're supposed to go to as a thing versus taking a look at what really matters, continue to get clear, and not trying to go all the way in the other direction. It's like, it's all self-work. It's always work, 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 working on the relationship versus actually just enjoying the relationship. So I'm noticing the two things and balancing them. One of the balancers is my son, because he's always into the fun. He'll sometimes say, stop talking, mommy, daddy, stop talking. And part of it's like, I've had enough of this trying to get big. Let's just be. And then it's a balance, because I can tell that for my parents, especially my mom, sometimes it feels like she's like chasing the next experience, chasing the next experience. It's like, let's just be in this experience right now. And as well for my father, it's like, how do you actually be relaxed and notice there's 1,000 million things to do? Bring your work with you, go back and forth if you need to, right? I'm gonna practice not judging and trying to control their experience. But I'm also gonna try not to be the one that has to enable it all either. If you really want to do that, then go do it. We're going to go here or something. We'll have some set guide points. But aside from that, we'll make it pretty free flowing and everyone gets to choose their thing. All right. So continuing developing relationships where there's more and more trust, because trust is that currency that we're building. And building that cycle and noticing when that cycle of trust gets broken, and then resolving that as much as possible internally with our own familial structure, rather than having to seek out external laws, seek out external ways of being it, and bring it back in. And that's part of the whole PMA, Private Ministerial Association, is part of it too. And what I'd like to have is several children who are very supported in their upbringing, like supporting my beloved and I as well. And I'd like to have close relationships where we go places and the times, and we get to say what our favorite things are. Like, we get to read stories, we get to play, we get to travel together. I like to have family vacations that are actually really fun and exciting and adventurous and new and novel. And they're not a rush. They're not an escape from the world. They're not an escape back to the world. And I really like to have this work and play and family be so intertwined, work and spirituality and family be so intertwined that I don't have to sacrifice one for the other. Each one's an extension and enhancement of the other. And there's such a knowingness of this enhancement that everyone wants us to have all three working in union and communion. All right, working in communion together. And that's the piece I'm noticing more and more. Like, even after this weekend, I could really see, and I'm noticing myself just taking a second, because this is the magic mirror. I'm gonna click on my face again. And this is for me. And I quickly shift from me to almost trying to deliver a message, try to convince you, this ethereal you who doesn't exist in this space-time right now, the here and now. And it's funny because I can imagine if it truly was a progression, we went from having no mirror first, until if you didn't have a still body of water around you, there's no mirror, right? Or nothing that you can actually create a reflection with. So no mirror, never seeing your own face. Like, all I would see is my hands. It's almost like playing a first-person video game, right? It's like you never see yourself. So I have no idea what I look like. Like, I can touch and imagine, but it's recreating through touch. And probably we used to be much better at that, because you can actually be like, okay, I can feel the smoothness, the roughness, the bumps. Okay, I can feel this. Is it even? Is it all of these things? And then going to being able to see ourselves, but see ourselves imperfectly, right? Like, very rarely would you get a perfectly crisp, clear mirror. So then you have to use your imagination. Like, seeing out there would always be clearer than seeing self. And then we're going to having almost perfect mirrors, more and more perfect mirrors over the last couple hundred years, more and more perfect optics. And that used to be, and I love that from the movie or TV show Shogun, they're showing how that having a good mirror was a very precious item. To now they're ubiquitous, and they're ubiquitous because they were so important that we mass produced them. And then when we started getting cameras, you would rarely get a camera of pictures. So you only took the pictures of the most important events, usually after someone dies. It's like, oh shit, I wish I'd taken a picture while they're alive. I'll take a picture while they're dead. Because I couldn't justify expending the money when they're alive, but now that they're dead, I can't not justify it. Part of the thing about the grief and DiMartini method, and I can talk about that later. And then getting to better and better pictures. And then in my lifetime, I went from film to digital. And that was a big thing, film to digital. I remember my first digital camera going from, I have to be really careful what I take pictures of because I'm going to have to pay and develop them, to now it would almost be silly not to take the pictures because they're free in a way. And then given the rise of the smartphone and so many pictures, like I have almost a terabyte of pictures and videos, like it's just expanded exponentially. I think like 24,000, and that's not even all the pictures. And then now it's getting to be in this magic mirror work where I'm recording all these videos of myself. And then in the recording of it, even if I'm wanting to do this as magic mirror work, the magic really happens when I can let go of me, you, us, them, all of that, and just experience. And then taking a breath and just noticing the evolution of the mirrors. And what's coming next is, how do we even trust the mirrors? Because in the advent of AI, anything that's recorded can be modified instantly. That's that TV show Capture. And I'm really grateful for that show. It was such a good show. I think I got that from my brother as well. So part of it will be asking, what are other good shows? But what is a real conversation? What's a real connection? And even if we're looking at a long form thing like a podcast, which is fantastic, soon they will be modifiable, editable. And soon it will be important to have as little editing as possible, or platforms where it's like, there is no editing here. There is no splicing, no cutting. It's totally authenticated, cryptographically authenticated video. That is going to be interesting. And it's going to be an arms race in a way. That's part of it right now. Right now it's the protection of privacy. Soon it will be the protection of what we call reality, actuality. Interesting. As I'm saying these things, this is part of the visioning of it. And what is actuality, reality? And part of this goes back to the oldest times, right? Like, it's almost the disconnection from source, if we want to call religion that, and being like, okay, only these people can connect you with God, when all of us are always connected with God. We're reflections, we're holograms of God. We're facets of the whole. And we've forgotten that. I've forgotten that in ways. I mean, even now as I'm remembering, I'm realizing I've forgotten and going back and forth, not making it right or wrong. Okay, so I've gone off onto a couple little tangents. It's been really fun because I'm starting to see these things. And I'm saying all these and practicing the magic mirror work because this is me developing the theories. And part of it is that part of the hologram I can really see. And then I'm going to forget all this because part of this magic mirror work wasn't to convince myself. It's practicing going through it. Just over and over again, going through it, being willing to go through this and love it. All right, so. Spiritual. There we go. All right, so this is the love list continued, looking at the spiritual aspect. I've done the vocational, I've done the familial, and I'm saying this and I'm noticing, because part of me is saying this for you to orientate you. And what was useful about that was part of it was for me to orientate me again. Where am I? Because I got off onto a beautiful, I'm grateful I went off on that tangent, and I'm coming back to this now. So, spiritual. I want to look at this initial list of the transcendental words. Transcendental, loving, grateful, inspired, enthusiastic, certain, and present. The 7 transcendentals. And presence right now is my peace. It's my place. I like to be transcendental, loving, grateful, inspired, enthusiastic, certain, and present. And continue to take whatever feels complex and make it more simple. Just to be in the experience of these words rather than the definition of these words. Rather than someone else approving me of these words. Just be and being. And what I would like to do is choose the most meaningful courses, retreats, experiential opportunities, teachers, mentors, guides, and continue to dive in and learn from these guides and masters. Learn from the plants, the master chemicals, to unlock what wants to be unlocked. And there's a little bit of confusion there because I was listening to and someone else is speaking. So it's listening. What I like to do is guide, teach, lead, listening to some beautiful music. It's part of the spiritual path, whatever spiritual movies, whatever spiritual sites, powers, and I'm having trouble with all this. I'd also like to learn to channel and meet the extraterrestrials and really get clearer and clearer. And I like to have the experiences it's funny, all this part is a little confusing. I like to have, of course, more of the channeling experiences, more of the transcendental experiences, the loving experiences, the gratitude experiences, the certainty experiences, the present experiences, the enthused experiences that I'm meant to have in this lifetime. And I want to have it in this lifetime. I choose out of the second that I'd love to have in this lifetime. So infinity in a second. I'm getting a little lost here, so I'll really have to look at this one again. And I like to have the supporters, the family that wants to travel along the spiritual path with me, and loving presence that when they come and they can go, we don't need to hoard even people or experiences. So that one is the one that's the hardest from the transcript, so it'll probably be the one I want to write out first, just to get it more clear. And looking at the other ones, the love list for the other ones. Okay, let's take a break actually from looking at that. I practice the affirmations. 7 highest priority action steps. So 7 highest priority action steps. So I took a look at this year and I wrote down 2 at least: closing the ICBC case and Ohana Sage, making it easy, lucrative, and fun with 55 plus clients. So those are a couple of things that I can see right now for the year. For the month, it's integrating the breakthrough and habits, starting the coaching with Ellie, the Ohana Breath website, the live update, 1+ client sign through, decluttered and set up the Zen Den, the taxes complete, and partnering with a wealth guru. And then this week, started the DeMartini method, completed and launched the XX campsite, 3+ connection calls, the Thursday connection day with Joni and Sanea, the founders calls, the client calls, and starting cleaning and balancing, clearing and balancing, cleaning, balancing. I'm not even sure what that means anymore, which is a reminder when I'm not making it super crystal clear. Day. So, writing out purpose, which I've already done. Magic mirror work, which I'm doing. Son, school, playtime, actually having some fun together. Let's see here. Cleaning room and message Lori for next week. Oh yeah, Lumen call. All right, what else is there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What are the last two things? Oh, body care. So sun, rest, and juice. And it's funny, I'm going to say message. Oh, no. Today's thing is my calls already. Call with Jake. I'm going to make that really important. One of my priorities for today. So the priorities can all happen really quickly. And I can remind myself that. They can be very, very clear. Doesn't mean I can't do more, but what are the highest priorities, right? And actually doing those things. Checking them off as they're accomplished. Determine the hierarchy of my values. Observe what I am presently calling good and evil. Determine the hierarchy of others' values. Observe what they are presently calling good and evil. Care enough to communicate my values in terms of their values. This will help me sell my way to my dreams. Place the DeMartini method forms next to my office desk bed so I'm able to complete one line a day on anyone or anything that pushes my buttons. Inwardly chant and outwardly chant or state the 10 daily pillars of wisdom. Read the Breakthrough Experience workbook over and over again and review and remind myself of the basics of maximizing my potential. So I started looking at that. Be sure to supplement what I've learned. Attending the Prophecy 1, Breakthrough Experience 12 times, hosting the Breakthrough Experience, certified teacher. All right. Okay. Whew. What a fun time. What a challenging time. Feeling a little bit of the tightness on my neck. And it's interesting, when I've started noticing more sensations in my body, and I think I dropped the seed of this idea to my beloved, I notice her doing it more now too, and I'm really grateful for that because it's helping me to see what's going on in real time for her, and doing this is helping me to see in real time what's happening for me. Like there's this little bit of tightness, upper back musculature between the scapula and the vertebrae. There's a little bit of tightness around the head. Could be a little bit of the headband, but I had that yesterday while I was taking meditation or breath, doing a little bit of the supernatural breath, and actually squeezing all the muscles and sending the energy up. Almost done the juice. And this Flow Pro 2 is almost charged up as well, so I'll move around once that is. What else is there this morning that wants to be said? Some of these practices of looking up 45 degrees, then eyes looking at 45 degrees, so it's 90 degrees up, and then just being with the gratitude at all. Let's take a look at that. That was one of the more recent pages here. Okay, so be thankful for what you love, your source of inspirations. Doing the following 7-step exercise daily, find extremely rewarding. Morning upon awakening to this dream world, and night upon sleeping into the other dream world. So turn my head up 45, eyes up another 45, close my eyelids loosely, begin inwardly thanking all the people who have helped me become who I am today. Continue this thankfulness until my heart opens and I feel a state of unconditional love, until tears of inspiration come pouring forth, until I clearly see how all these people played a magnificent role in my unfolding life. When my heart is open and my tears are flowing, then ask my soul for guidance, for its wisdom, and for its message. And wait for this message, which will come from the innermost resources of my soul mind. And when it comes to my consciousness, write it down and follow it. Consider doing this exercise upon arising and before going to sleep each day. Whenever I'm thankful, my resulting inspirations and their corresponding creations tend to flow and grow. By being thankful for what I am, for what I do, for what I have, I pave the way for ever expanding beings, doings, and havings. Without the ability to appreciate, I wither. Practice daily the feeling of being grateful. Be grateful for everything that comes my way. In the midst of every situation, be thankful. I may first not see or comprehend its immediate or hidden blessing, but blessing it is sure to be. Show appreciation toward myself, others, and the universe. Savor and be grateful for each successful creation and those which at first appear failures. Whatever I have love and gratitude for will be at my command. I deserve whatever I can love and for which I can have gratitude. Just as I tend to continue rewarding others when they are appreciative of my gifts, so too does the universe continue rewarding me when I am appreciative of its gifts. The final step of the manifestation formula is to acknowledge, appreciate, and be receptive of what I've created. The breakthrough experience will long endure with continued thankfulness. The results of my purpose and list of loves are now on their way. Thank myself, thank others, thank the universe or panpsychic intelligence, sometimes called God. Set aside and take time for thankful prayer and meditation daily. They help me know that all is done in accordance with higher universal design. Communicate with my highest spiritual nature, my soul, the state of unconditioned love daily. Grateful prayer is non-locally talking to the universe. So tell the universe, thank you. Grateful meditation is non-locally listening to the universe. So listen to the universe and be thankful. Gratefully celebrate the breakthrough experience. Whenever I say, this or that should have happened or have been different, or they should have been more supportive and less challenging, we are assuming that was or is some form of mistake in the world. But the wisdom of nature, the universal intelligence, the hidden implicate order of the universe, or panpsychic God, demonstrates a magnificent balance of health and disease, hot and cold, happiness and sadness, support and challenge, and all other pairs or complementary opposites. And no amount of weeping or wailing or smiling or laughing will change that inherent balance. Awaken to this truth of equanimity within and equity without, and be grateful for the perfectly equilibrated wisdom of nature forever rules. Okay. So practicing being thankful. So head tilt, eyes tilt, close eyelids, thanking all the people who have helped me become, and continue thankfulness till the heart opens. And I can do it inwardly and outwardly. I can say names. This is for me. This is the magic mirror work. And just practicing not tilting my head too much. Eyes too much. Okay. And it's funny, it starts there at the beloved, and at the sun, and at the cat. Thank you, thank you. And it's thanking the balance of polarities. Over and over, I can see you there as teachers and guides, thanking the parents, thanking the brothers, thanking the teachers, thanking Yvonne, thanking Lana, thanking Sky, thanking Anahita, thanking Judy, thanking Brent, thanking Robin, going back and thanking Mr. Bealey, going back and thanking Ellen, and thanking Susan, thanking Pick and Flick, thanking Jim, going back and thanking the godparents, thanking the Nachelskis, going back and thanking the grandparents, the Gogongpopos, the Yamamas, going back and thanking the uncles and aunts and the cousins and Noel and Cecilia especially, going back and thanking best friends, Paul. Thanking the exes, Jackie and Sophia and Suzanne and Rumi, and going back and thanking the cheerleading team, thanking the gymnastics team, thanking the soccer team, thanking the ultimate frisbee team, thanking the climbing team, thanking Janice and Kimber and Evo. Going back and thanking all the people that I was there in residency with, and the program directors and Star, and thanking all those guides and teachers, and just noticing the neck a little kink, so just relaxing a little bit, still looking up. Thanking Dr. DiMartini, thanking these cohorts that are coming through, thanking Fit for Service, thanking Matthias DeStefano, thanking Aubrey Marcus, thanking the coaching, thanking Jody, thanking the Black and White to the Rainbow World, thanking Accomplishment Coaching, thanking the work, thanking working at Apple and working at Gilead, thanking my med school classmates, thanking Joanne and Ed, thanking Phil and Courtney, thanking Joni, thanking XX Camp, thanking the Norwegians that I met, thanking Guy and Sohive and Dan, thanking the godchildren, thanking the best-selling authors and teachers that I've had the privilege of meeting, thanking Shalinder and Elizabeth, thanking Matthew and Hamza and Mahiv, and thanking all the medicine, thanking all the different homes that I've had the privilege of being in and the different roommates, thanking my best friend again, thanking his partner and his previous partners, thanking Andrea and Kevin and Allie and Jesse and Matt and Lisa and the kids, thanking Osprey Lake and Cam, thanking even all the aspects when we're feeling trapped inside, thanking the traveling to Japan and Asia, thanking the mango growers, thanking my parents' friends in Australia, the ones that were in Halifax, the ones in Hong Kong, all these friends who want to take us around and guide us and teach us. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Alex. There's been a lot of Alexes in my life. Okay, thank you, Alex. That's another name. Alex and Ivan are very prominent names. Matt is a very prominent name. Now John is a more prominent name. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Taryn. Thank you to the RVs and RV living. Thank you to the body workers. Thank you, Darren. Thank you to all the gifts that I've received, and the gifts I want to keep giving. Thank you, Chris. Thank you to the Ohana family. Thank you to all these teachers. Thank you for the people who have flown out to visit me. So grateful. So grateful. So grateful. Thank you, Ellie. Thank you, Hella. Ellie, Hella. Elena. Thank you. Thank you to all these women. Thank you, Huayra. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Sweat Lodges. Thank you, Heat. Thank you, Saunas. Thank you, Lori. Thank you for Friendly Forest. Thank you for all the teachers. Thank you for the mothers. Thank you for the children. Thank you for the fathers. It's interesting. It's such a practice to feel the heart opening, to realize how many people there are. Way more than 125, that's for sure. Thank you for the other parents and the children. Thank you for random strangers telling me about finances and home investments. Thank you, Tony Robbins. Thank you, Peter Crone. Thank you, Matthias DeStefano. Thank you, Robert Grant. Thank you, Ed Norton. Thank you, Brad Pitt. Thank you, Daniel Day-Lewis. Thank you, Mel Gibson. Just noticing these movies that are coming up, The Lion King, these other aspects and all the people that helped create it. Thank you to all the friends from SMRT. Thank you for pub trivia. Thank you for acro yoga, acro Troy. Thank you for the intuition circle. Thank you for what color is my parachute. Thank you for that self-development. Thank you for Apple and the Genius Bar and the Genius Room. Thank you for Magic the Gathering. Thank you for Scholastic. Thank you for elementary school. Thank you for the classmates. Thank you to Adam. Thank you to Craig. Thank you to Ivy. Thank you to Evelyn. Thank you to Fabian. Thank you to Ivan. Thank you, Mom and Dad. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, ancestors. Thank you, Skycam. Thank you, Gun Creek. Thank you, Wilderness. Thank you, Retreats. Thank you, Psychosis. Thank you, me. Thank you, John. Thank you for this breakthrough experience. Thank you, Lumen. And you can feel a softening around the heart. I can feel softening, and I'm practicing both speaking and receiving at the same time, putting out and pouring out my gratitude and allowing meditation in the universe to come back and inspire. And part of it's thanking that first circle in 2018, really connecting with the cosmos and being back there right now, being with all the pain, being with the nothingness, being with the connection of souls. Thank you for my fairy drug mother. Thank you for the old school communities. Thank you for Helena and Sagan. Thank you for Mark. Thank you for the Isaacs. Thank you for the Catherines. Thank you for the Courtneys. Thank you for the Joes. Thank you for the Bruces. Thank you for the Japan experience. The Japans. Thank you for the Southeast Asia experience. Thank you for the African experience. Thank you for Louis and Mary. Thank you for Raphael. Thank you for the science projects. Thank you for the travels. Thank you for math camp. Thank you, Thalia. Thank you for jazz and for music. Thank you, James. Just being with the softening, not trying so hard. There's a part of me that wants to perform, and that's the part I can notice. And there's a part that can feel the connection and the softening. and recognizing, how do I actually just be with that and be present? Everything is perfect the way it is. Okay, relax the neck a little bit. Being in inspired presence. Being in the inspired presence of it all. And there's so much that can come out of even just this one course. There's so much that wasn't delved into. There's so much experientially that can come out of it. And sometimes it's the breaking and having the experiences. The talking and the stuffing, the overstuffing the head is actually maybe not serving so much. And I appreciate this. I appreciate the guidance. I appreciate the wisdom. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, 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 thank you. And thank you. And it's that easy. All of it is really that easy. All right, this is charged up fully, it looks like now. My phone is not fully charged, let's see here, but it's mostly charged still. It's funny, this is a really cool system that can actually allow the charge to continue. So now's the time to move and change positions a little bit. And I am going to put on my glasses and turn on the light. So I'm going to turn this off first. All right, glasses. Turn off this light because we don't need it this way. Boop. I'll be black for a moment. It's going to try to search for me. And it's going to have some trouble, but it can actually see a little bit, which is kind of crazy. And then I'm going to turn on that light. Boop. So we can see just a little bit. And then be with. And just standing up fully now. Oh man. So I'm continuing on this mirror work, partly because I'm always curious what it's like to keep going beyond what feels comfortable for me. Long form content. And being okay with the pauses. And part of it is just noticing, how do I actually allow me to not try to be anything other than me? So stretching out right now, just feeling what's tight in the body, in the hips. One of the things that I've realized is that I want to actually practice and learning from some great dancers and when I create learnings and teachings in groups, especially the introductory courses, how to actually curate them so that it's actually for me with people that I love. And that's what I'm learning from. I'm listening to how my dear friend Judy does it. She does a great thing with that, where she actually brings together great teachers in ways where other people can train. She's building her network. And so part of me will be modeling some of that. We'll be working with her and then building my own parallel network. And they'll overlap, and it's okay. And I'm getting better and better. I'm not fully there yet, and I am there. Like, it's always being able to own I'm not there and I am there. Like, in an instant, it can all change. In an instant, it can all change out. And to not hold on to, I've already figured it out. It's a process. But a network where it really is ohana, where we're connected, we're supportive, where we're loving, and where we're not holding on to and saying this is so exclusive that you cannot go anywhere else. And that's the piece I'm noticing. How do I have both and have the commitment for the people that really want to commit? Okay, if you really want to commit to being part of this team, yeah, there is a commitment there. There's a transparency there. There's a discussion there. And there's a part of how do we create it so that you don't feel like it's a trap. And I'm not sure of that balance yet. I won't lie, I'm not sure of that balance yet. There's a part of me that is wondering whether I'm just trying to create something, whether I'm just criticizing others. So just noticing that right now, just noticing it. I'm just noticing this tracking and how cool it is. How cool it is to be tracked. And it's reminding, like, all the technology that has been created, I have a belief is just a reflection to help us see the world more clearly too. Like, the fact that I'm being tracked right now constantly by this is a reminder that we're constantly being tracked all the time. And I can look at that as beneficial or nefarious, and there's probably both. It's the balance. And even that idea that a lot of the self-help work, spiritual work, is actually perpetuating more imbalances. Whether it's learning more and more from the founders of Alcoholics Anonymous is like, shit, I would have definitely wanted to include some psychedelics in there because I can see how it can be a beautiful way. Like, I didn't want to be so rigid, but once it grows outside of me, founder, then it's a living entity that I can't change because so many people are attached to the entity. And taking a look at each of these movements, it's more and more clear to me to see how a movement that would have started thousands of years ago could result in what it is now. And there's certain movements that are more self-perpetuating than others. And we're talking about that. And then there's the other one that we just heard about. Oh, who was it? I can't remember who he was talking about. I had it a second ago, but I've forgotten it because I was using that Alcoholics Anonymous example. And so for myself, it's noticing in the creation, both like when I'm like, oh, I want this to be something that exists outside of me. Also taking ownership for how do I actually stay in balance and relationship with it and not try to hold on to it, and also trust. Part of it is trust. There's that thing that he keeps coming back to. It's like, the gratitude is reminding self that the universe is in perfect order. And it's easy to see it's in perfect order, for example, when I was in the middle of 200 people with Matthias or Stefano and I was there. And I can now see that experience. How many people were there going, I want to be the one in the middle. So there was a downside, and I could be with all that. I've actually negated all that up till now. I didn't actually think of that thought because I was so happy to be there. But that moment for me, being that transcendental moment, was also the moment that someone else who thought that they deserved to be in that transcendental moment, especially that woman that came up to me afterwards, like, oh my God, I'm going through this, almost wanting to have a piece of it, was probably in some ways resenting me for having been there, and being with the balance and the equanimity of all that. Like, everything balances in real time. I could be at the highest peak state and someone else could be at the highest anger. And that can be happening in real time. And it doesn't mean that that is reality. And this is all just helping me to see the balance of things. And then see in the lowest of times, especially in some ceremonies, I'm going through that death process. Someone else is probably going through their own ecstasy. And it's balancing out again. And it's just noticing, what balances do I want to be with? What balances can I be with? And right now, sometimes when I'm taking the medicine with people, for people, on behalf of people, it's being able to hold that energy that can come up, that other polarity, to make space for them to have their polarities, to play with it, and play within a beautiful and safe range at the same time, to not get lost in it. And I can see that because some things that I can get infatuated with are some things I can actually be like so resentful, despise. And I can only imagine, I have not had to go through some of the things in this lifetime, such as Holocaust, such as death of a child, such as horrific, gruesome injuries. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for what's happened so far, the lessons that I've learned so far. And honor the experience I have had. I have had a lifelong dis-ease of asthma. I have been very sick before, sickly. I have been depressed, suicidal. I have experienced psychosis in a way. I have experienced the nothingness. I have experienced so much pain and discomfort in the body very intensely. And I'm grateful for that, having those intense moments, what it can catalyze. And it's funny, yeah, pain can dilate time. It's like, oh my God, I'm in the agony of this foreverness. Reminding that every time I've experienced pain, there has eventually been some end. And when the end comes, almost from what used to be just a balanced state, there's some euphoria in the balanced state. And right now, being in this balanced state, like tired, not tired, energized, not energized, excited, depressed, all those things. Finishing the morning juice, hydration is such an important piece. Rehydrating with goodness, with electrolytes, drinking concentrated sunlight. Like plants are concentrated sunlight. Concentrated sunlight. And then there's the part that my head has some trouble fathoming and balancing, with all the chemicals, with all the ways that we weaken ourselves. Again, our voids become our values. We're creating so many voids. It's part of what's creating the accelerating evolution. And it's funny to take a look at all these structures, which sound really good on paper and aren't working. The United Nations sounds really good on paper. It's not working. And it's not that it's not working either. That's the funny thing. It's like the whole defund the police movement. The force system is not working, but it's also not working. The absence of it isn't the solution either. Or the sudden absence of it, given the patternings that have happened and given the reliance and the dependence on things. And there's some band-aids that I'm grateful if someone's minding the ship, rip it off. I'm grateful to watch and witness what's going on right now in the US with Donald Trump, with Elon, what's going on in Canada. And it doesn't make it right, it's just witnessing it. And witnessing it from the lens of, okay, how might this impact the things that I want to create with my highest values right now? And other than that, do I really want to spend so much of my time, energy, and effort focusing on an external force versus actually taking the time to continue developing myself? It's the same as during the pandemic. We had such a period of growth because we continued to invest, we continued to self-develop, we continued to socialize in the ways we wanted to, we continued to make choices. We continue to keep making choices. That's what life is. And then noticing from I have to, I need to now I want to, I choose to, and I can see that saying I love to. And over again, practicing that, fake it till I make it. I love to do this. I love to make these magic mirror videos. I do. I wake up and I'm excited. I'm excited to do this. I'm excited to be with me. Oh, isn't that interesting, saying that statement? For such a long time, and that's probably the big swing in the way, I was trying to escape from me. In the deepest of loneliness, of otherness, of isolation, even with, I had so much intelligence, I was charismatic, people thought I had it together, but I was so sad. And the wisdom of the world, the voids become our values. So disconnected with the God inside me, because when I'm connected with the God inside me, how could I want to be anywhere else other than this experience right now? And noticing that I have been through my own periods of torture. I was listening to someone the other day talking more about torture, and Chinese water torture, just a little drop on the head over and over again. It's that repetitive piece. And I've been through my own version of that. Many of us have in our own tortured growing ups. And how do we, I do like that, how do we help the next generation have better problems? It's not that there's going to be an absence of problems. And it's when you're focused so much on the absence of problems that you're forgetting what is it that we're just, not just what we're running away from, but what are we running towards? And supporting the running towards something. And in the loving of life, recognizing things happen. I like that from Alex Hormozi. He's like, every next level up involves a level of loss and a level of changing up a pattern that was there. And I love Layla Hormozi. She's such work for people. She's always working on people. And part of it for me is, how do I partner with these kinds of groups to create more experiential stuff? And part of it is creating the foundation for my business to be so solid before reaching out and trying to say, hey, how can I support you? Because if I can't even figure it out myself, then in a way do I deserve to support them? In a way do I want to support them? I really want to figure it out for me and us first, because I don't want to depend on another structure to be able to give us approval or disapproval either. Independent of all that, who am I? Who am I? Independent of all that. So it's so funny recording all this. And eventually, and that's what I'm working on right now, is recording some podcasts soon. So actually asking questions to someone else, being really present with them, being really curious about them. And part of this is me exploring the curious edges of all of my own consciousness, going, what's there? Reading more and understanding more. And then I really enjoyed, like, he's like, I did all the positive self-help stuff and it didn't work. It really didn't move the needle. Because we're not meant to live just in the positive all the time. And positive and negative is in the eye of the beholder. And I can notice when now, especially my beloved and I, when we're trying to impose our values on each other, oh, I'm trying to do this for you. But if you haven't asked for it, sometimes it's nice, occasionally, but when we're doing it too much, that's part of the patterning. Sometimes it's nice to be asked, and sometimes it's important just to go for the thing that I think. Like, if we're gonna actually be together, just go for the thing. And then reminding myself and those closest to me, I'm gonna get it wrong sometimes. I'm gonna royally fuck up sometimes. And even the fuck ups are awesome, because I felt safe enough to fuck up. Right now, it's like I'm safe enough in this video to fuck it all up. What if I say something that someone's gonna take totally out of context? Here's the lovely thing we can hide behind. Well, that was just AI. And there's a part of me that will know I've said it. And how do I practice having said it and not being the shame of it? Like, there's a part of it where it's like, it's so interesting to notice these storms of cancellations of people saying, you must repent for that. You must delete that. It's like, I said it. I can actually still stand by it. I'm still working through it. I don't have to change anything. What is it in you that feels so offended by something I posted so long ago? What is it in you that wants to drag it up and keep bringing it back to the surface? And yes, there are parts that we really want to figure out how we can actually shift. Like, I would love to shift this world of incest, 1 in 4 women apparently. And the first part is actually noticing what is. Because am I here as a savior, a mansplainer? Am I going to try to take away what's already happened? I don't even understand it enough yet. First is, can I actually speak about it and say it out loud? Can we actually even say these words? Can we say words and realize that there's actually no word that's truly so offensive? Right? And I do appreciate Aubrey Marcus for this, all in for all life. He's like, simple. I'm in for life. I'm on the side of life. And then I really appreciate Dr. DeMartini. Nothing ever is gone. It just changes form. Everything just changes form. And that's part of what is going through this whole process, is just noticing the forms changing. And by noticing the forms changing over and over again, just being able to own every single trait, being able to own every single positive, negative, and see it inside myself and see the positive and negative, in every single action. And then as we keep balancing it out, realizing and coming back and back and back, all of it comes back to the simplicity of this moment is perfect. This moment is perfect. And then if you really want to come back to it, it's like all I actually have to do, if I want to, is sit and meditate and be. And then recognize I'm a being of light, and the light can actually serve me and heal me and nourish me, sleep and rest and be. And if that's what I want to do, I can. And what do I actually want to do? Okay, then how do I step into not just the wants, but the values? And the values come from the voids. And then enjoying that process. We've made the process so big and pressured so much that it went from something pure and lovely and beautiful and fun, seeing all these kids play soccer when they're little and just dreaming of who they want to be, to the seriousness of the training, the competitiveness that's like, okay, now that you actually found out you're decent, you have to practice and try to be the best, and then feel that you're not enough when you're not the best. And then constantly compete until we can actually grade you and say, this is who you are, this is what you're worth externally. And it's so funny to see that. Like it literally is like our old gladiator worlds, except you're not killing yourself quickly, you're killing yourself slowly if you let the system take over, if you actually start to believe what it means. And then how do you actually keep coming back to yourself? How do you get the mental fortitude to be with yourself, even with all the skills? And so part of it is, I have a desire to work with some athletes as well. I'd love to. I have a desire to work with people who really want to do things, and I'd love to be in those spaces. And part of it for me, again, is to keep coming back to the foundation. How do we create this in such a lovely way? How do I create Ohana breath and Ohana sage and have them be separate and distinct as well? How do I own both sides? Be with both sides? How do I be with the safety? It's funny, when I was growing up, I had to go through this, I can see now, where I was like, bigger government, more regulation, more laws will fix everything. If we can actually tell everyone what's right and wrong enough, and that's what I realized I grew up with, and not in a bad way. It's beautiful, and you can see that now. Like, the kids are like, I got this first, got to tell them this is the way it goes, and they're looking at outside authority to resolve it, and it's like, hey guys, how do you want to resolve it? What's a novel way to do this? What if there is no right and wrong? And then noticing some things are actually helpful. Let's put a few things in place, right? Let's have some place that there is some definition of ownership. Okay. But then when we let that run the show, it's like now instead of saying, I can see how this accentuates and supports a knowingness that I already had that, this makes sense. This kind of ownership, this kind of looking at things. It's, hey, the rules say this. Even if it doesn't make any sense, this is what the rule says. So, hey, who am I to change it? And I'm grateful that we have that as well, because sometimes the rules don't make any sense, and that's actually the best way to be with it. More freedom, in a way, in the context of safety. And in this world right now, it feels terribly unsafe for a lot of people. Part of it I can see, I was held down at one point or scared as a child. And so now I'm supporting my son to be able to practice exiting being held down in a safe manner that feels fun and playful. But in the background, I realize I'm helping him improve his own strength, his own fight, his own will to fight as well. So just noticing these things and then not making it good or bad. This is the thing I want to do right now, that's okay. How do I help him develop in the ways that I can and know? And then notice there's been a judgment. I know someone else who's got their kids and they're all doing this amazing skiing and everything else like that. And my judgment's like, man, all they're doing is competing. All they're doing is trying to be the best. All they're doing is da-da-da. It's like, that's what he knows how to do. His kids are going to have these great skills to do whatever they want to do with. Like, part of it is just creating a foundation for skills for children that they can play with however they want to play. Part of it for me then is to take a look at what skills can I not even imagine. That's why we've been looking at this Jedi training, all these different ways to enhance whatever other senses they may have, because I find it really fascinating, and I know this to be true. Like, how are there other senses? How are there other knowings? And how do we enhance them now while they're still more present and more alive? And from an environment where we get to remind him anything is possible. I don't know if it's probable, and I want to maintain your safety. So I don't think that you can walk through matter right now. If you get taught to, guided to, and you can do it in a safe manner, fantastic. Or be able to levitate or fly or see things. And it's just being able to create the environments where your physical body is safe while you're learning. It's the same as it always was. I want to prevent harm and allow for some hurt. I'm just being with this mirror work right now and just noticing. I was taking a look at the leaders, and let's take a look at where I wrote that down in a second. Boop, 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 boop. Spiritually, balanced energy, mentally, certainty and clarity in learnings and experiences. Vocationally, easy, lucrative, fun business with founders and contractors impacting greater than 100 people per year. Financially, automated financial system, clean, clear investing and growing 10,000 plus per month. Familially, fully supportive family and home life wherever we are globally. Socially, social circle filled with inspiration, presence, love, and enthusiasm. Physically, energy, vitality, clarity greater than ever, and clear choices and tools. All those lists. There we go. Reflect and own what you love. So in the spiritual world, I put down David Hawkins, Matthias DeStefano, and Jesus right now. I could also put that person that wrote I Am That, but I really haven't gotten into it yet. Mental, I put Dr. John DeMartini. Natalie Portman, I didn't expect that, but she came up when I looked at AI, and I love that she's exactly 1 year younger than me. Totally had a crush on her before. And I put Edward Grant, it's Robert Edward Grant, I think. Vocationally, Alex Hormozi, Michael Singer, and Layla Hormozi. Because Michael Singer, as much as he's a spiritual person to me, the reason I could really hear him was when we read The Surrender Experience and realized he became CEO of a $1 billion company, and he figured out how to merge it all and then make it really simple. What's really simple for him? A really well-built home. I was like, such a good idea. Doesn't have to be a massive home, but a really well-built home would mean a lot. Financially, Elon Musk, Warren Buffett, Ray Dalio. Familially, Kyle Kingsbury, Thomas Cowan, Tony Robbins. Socially, Robert Downey Jr., Taylor Swift, Donald Trump. Physically, Kyle Kingsbury, Leonard Orr, Paul Chek, Bruce Lee. Socially is interesting as well, because looking at Donald Trump or Taylor Swift or Robert Downey Jr., they've had so many different oscillations in their life, and how do they be with it all and still lead? And obviously they lead, and I could even put like Kylie Jenner in there. Like sometimes it's looking at the people that I've judged so freaking much. I've judged them so much. Kim Kardashian, Kanye West, so much. And what would it like to actually be them and have those set of tools? I don't have to agree with what they say. And I can just imagine the tools that they're working with. I don't have to agree with how they made their money, Elon Musk, Warren Buffett, and Ray Dalio. And there's something there, that they have the ways of being, the traits, actions, and actions that have led to wealth. And to own those aspects of myself. To own those downsides. There's parts of me that I can really see. I'm like, oh man, whether I want to say I'm undisciplined or whether I'm jumping all over the place, I would really like someone else to be executing on the things. But the first thing is just making it sustainable. Savings, actions, investments, having money set aside for taxes, having things go easily, because right now it feels like it's wait. Oh, wait. Familially. And I love Kyle Kingsbury's The One Person, Two Places, and it's funny that it's him because how he has his family life, 2 kids on the farm, working, serving, exercising, being, interviewing, and I can just see him, he's loving life and he's so present with whoever he's with. Like, I love that man. And he's a beast. Leonard Orr, like breaking the death cycle, like I really love that, and he's one of the fathers of holotrophic breathing, I think. David Hawkins was probably one of my first ones I wrote down because that spiritual aspect, the MD in him, the PhD, he's really intelligent, and then taking a look at life differently, and then using that applied kinesiology, and that's another tool that I want to learn eventually. There's so many tools I want to practice. There's only so many I can practice at once. And I'm reminding myself that what excites me to practice right now. Who do I want to teach me right now? Until I find the teacher, practice the thing I want to practice. This is the thing I want to practice right now. John DeMartini, there's so much wisdom and knowledge there, and it's not continuously striving for more and more and more for me right now. Like, I could do that, but at this stage of life, like there was a point in my life when I was in my young 20s, before I had kids and family and wife, and I could look back and say, oh, I wish I hadn't spent all the time devouring stuff that I didn't really want to devour. But it helped me get clearer and clearer. When I'm actually excited about devouring something, I will devour it. And I'm devouring this right now. And I'm going to go back to just purely reading in a moment, and then taking from there, going to rest. I'm reminding myself it's noticing these things in real time. Natalie Portman, it's funny, like when I first saw her in the Star Wars movies, like totally in love with her, totally wanted to meet her. And I probably could have in a way. But back then it was such a fear of actually even figuring out, how is this possible? And wouldn't it be amazing in the future to meet and be friends and parents together and to build a business together? Like, wouldn't that be so cool? Like, all these people, some of them I've already met. So in real life, in person, I have met Matthias DeStefano, Robert Grant, Tony Robbins, Kyle Kingsbury, again. Online, live, I've met John DeMartini. Have I joined Alex's calls? No. I have access to it, though. Ray Dalio, Thomas Cowan. All right. So not as many as I would have thought, and that's okay. And I recognize, right, like I had a best-selling author I was really infatuated with, let's use that word, and went from book signing to actually being in ceremony with. And it's just like, okay, all this is possible. I had Aubrey Marcus, who I was infatuated with, and then went to Fit for Service and actually met him and was with him, and was like, in a way, got the blessing that I could from him, not the blessing of the Father, but his blessing, that reminder. And then got to meet his team and play with his team and be in a picture, and I want to get that picture, I want to frame that picture, because that's really going to help me. So it's just reminding myself, everything that I want to imagine is possible, is possible, is possible, is possible. The isness of all the possibilities. Yeah. I'm just owning all the things that I admire and despise. That I admire and despise, because they hold all of it. They hold all of it. I hold all of it. I hold every single trait. I can tell, like, we were taking a look and saying, oh, like, what's the sustainable fair exchange here? And I'm like, I won't lie, I've got a quota system. I'm taking a look at the favors I've done, the favors they've done, and there's a piece of my brain in the background that's always churning through and looking at it. And part of it is the story in my head's like, well, I'm intelligent enough to do this. And then part of it is the trap. It's like, why am I doing this? Do I really need to or want to be doing this? And it was really fun discussing this and going, okay, in a way, this is a reminder what has money exist. And in a way, I can be reminded of Dr. Don DeMartini is like, I just want to create sustainable fair exchange and it's done. Right? I don't want gifts. I don't want favors. I just want to do it. And I can see that. I can definitely see that. And it's noticing what's in the background, because there's always something that's exchanged. Even the lesson, right? Even in the investment, the lessons, and looking at all the losses not as failures but as lessons. This is the price of tuition if you want to be in the asset growing world. And then every now and then hold off on investing more. That's all it is. He doesn't pull much out, if any. He just holds off on investing more. And I can see that. All the little bumps, all the little perturbations. And right now, no one can predict what's going to happen in the future. I have a feeling it's actually going to storm ahead. And the big story of it all falling behind, it's funny because it's allowing private equity right now to scoop things up. So the question is when to actually deploy some more of the cash and to not play with the cash that's in the savings account. That cash is, for us, is a buffer right now. Love having this cash as a buffer. Love having money to spend. Because if not now, when? If not me, who? Right? Reflecting and owning what I love. All right. So I'm going to keep going from here. I'm going to read a little bit more. It's funny because I don't want to. That's it. So as much as this magic mirror work is getting better and better, I'm doing this for me. Not doing this for you. Turning the video on. Yeah. Coming closer to see myself. There still is a piece of me that's not just doing it for me. And so me turning this off is going to let me dive into this more and get right into the learning piece. It's been a ton of fun this morning. I've gone through the things to really bring this to life. I've gone through the gratitude practice as well. There's so much more. I don't even know where we went. Like, how did I spend an hour and 40 some minutes? Like, it feels ridiculous. And it was totally worthwhile. Not worthwhile for you if you actually spent the time watching this in real life, I bet. That would be crazy. And be hilarious if you're still here. Obviously, you fell asleep to this, and that's okay. Maybe that's exactly what you needed. That's exactly what I needed. I'm falling asleep to wake up to life again. Falling asleep, waking up. And every time I think I've woken up, it's probably just another layer of the dream. That's the other piece. Like, I'm just reawakening to the layers of the dream. And more, this world feels like a dream world. This is heaven. This is heaven. Heaven is right now. Heaven is right now. And anyone who wants to dispute that with me, go ahead. I don't need to convince you. I don't need to convince you that heaven's right now. That's not my highest value. Living in heaven, totally one of my highest values. Being in heaven, totally one of my highest values. All right. Ciao for